Please carry a notebook with you while you see this video so that you can note down the important points. So, Government of India Act 1935. Key features. What are the main features of Government of India Act? Enactment and purpose. It was passed as a result of discussions from the Third Roundtable Conference in 1932. So, in 1932, there was a roundtable conference in London, which was attended by our own Mahatma Gandhi. And there, Mahatma Gandhi was insulted as an half naked fakir. However, he came back and it was the time of civil disobedience movement, but in that roundtable conference a discussion was done regarding the Government of India Act. So it started because it aimed to provide autonomy to British Indian provinces and establish a federation of India with both British and Indian provinces along with princely states. So the Federation of India will be established according to Government of India Act 1935, and in that Federation of India there will be three entities of power, that is the British Empire, British Indian provinces and the princely states. Ministers in the provinces controlled administration and were responsible to be elected to the elected legislature. So there will be a legislature and the whole country of undivided India will be divided into different provinces, and ministers will be elected from those provinces who will be members of the legislature. Governor, however, had special executive powers concerning bills, and they appointed and dismissed ministers at their discretion. So, governor will be there, just like today you have different states, and in those different states, you from those different states, you have your members of parliament. Similar kind of elections would be held. However, there will be a governor at the head of everything, and that governor can elect or dismiss ministers. Federal structure. Federal structure means the country or the territory will be divided into different regions, and those regions will have their own government. The federal government was to include a governor general and a council of ministers. The federal legislature was bicameral, comprising the Council of States and House of Assembly. So the legislature was bicameral, means there will be two houses. Even now the Parliament of India is bicameral, just like we have Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Before independence, according to the Government of India Act, there was to be a council of states and also House of Assembly. So the structure was federal, there was bicameral legislature, and the two houses in that bicameral legislature were Council of States and House of Assembly. Elections and representation. Members of the provincial legislative assemblies were to be elected directly by the people. Just like now, there were votes, and the members of the provincial legislative assemblies were to be elected directly. However, the franchise was limited based on property qualifications. So, the person who is standing for election, that person will have to have a limited amount of property, and the system of separate electorates was retained. Electorates means voter list. So there were to be separate electorates, means separate voter lists, and that system was there from the beginning only, and that was to be retained. Reserved departments. The government retained control over key departments like foreign affairs, defense, which were not under elected representatives. This central control was the key reason why Congress rejected the act. So, even though Indians were given autonomy through elected representatives in certain fields, but the main affairs of the government, like foreign affairs and defense, rested in the British Empire. And who will control it? The Governor General, who is the head of British Empire in India. The Governor General will control the key departments like foreign affairs and defense. So this is the main reason why Congress later on rejected this Government of India Act. Reaction and implementation. Congress and Muslim League opposed the act for different reasons. Both Congress and Muslim League, the two major political parties at that point of time, both of them rejected the act. The Congress condemned it but participated in 1937 elections under protest. So even though the Congress did not like the act completely, they condemned it but still participated in the elections of 1937. The federal part was never implemented, means dividing India into provinces and each of the provinces having their own government, that part was not implemented. And it was not implemented because of the princely states. I will come to that later. But the provincial autonomy provisions were enforced. So whole of the Government of India Act was not implemented, but after the elections of 1937, except the federal structure, all other things were more or less implemented. Now let's proceed. 1937 elections under the Government of India Act. What happened in the elections of 1937? Electoral outcome. What was the result? The 1937 elections were held under the new act. Congress emerged as the dominant party in the polls, securing a majority in multiple provinces. So, whole of the India, and here India, when I am talking about India, I mean the undivided India before independence. So, whole of India was divided into provinces. There were 11 main provinces, and Congress emerged as the dominant party in almost all the provinces. Congress performance. Congress contested in 710 seats and won 707 of them. They swept through general Hindu seats because Congress had a lot of Hindu support. So they own over all the major Hindu seats, own 38 out of 48 reserved seats for Labour. So 48 seats were reserved for Labour, and among those 48, Congress owned 38 of them, secured 18 out of 26 reserved seats for Dalits. Dalits mean lower caste Hindus. So 26 seats were reserved for the Dalits, and Congress owned 18 among those 26 seats. Performance in major provinces. UP. What happened in Uttar Pradesh? Congress contested 88 seats, won 86 seats. So, out of 88 seats in Uttar Pradesh, Congress won 86 of them. CP means in Central Province, which is approximately the area of Madhya Pradesh. So, in Central Province, there were 75 seats. Congress owned 70 among 75. In Bihar, there were 152 seats. Congress owned in 95 of them. Madras, there were 159 seats. Congress owned all the seats in Madras province. In Bombay, there were 117 seats. Congress owned all of them. In Bengal, again, Congress owned 250 seats. Punjab was a place where Congress performed poorly due to strong unionist party presence. Now we will see how was the performance of the Muslim League. Muslim League had a comparatively weak performance except in Muslim majority areas. So areas where the population was majority Muslims, in those areas Muslim League had good performance. Other than that, they performed very poorly. So they secured 19 seats in NWFP. NWFP means Northwest Frontier Province. It was in the northwest part of undivided India. And there also Congress dominated. Now, how was the government formed? There were total 11 provinces. Whole of undivided India had 11 provinces, and Congress formed ministries in 7 out of 11 provinces. Means in 7 provinces they had complete majority. Coalition governments were formed in some provinces where Congress did not have a majority. So coalition government means forming government with the help of a group of political parties. So Congress, by being in addition with other political parties, gained majority, and thus coalition governments were formed. Congress initially hesitated to form government but later agreed after negotiations. So, as we know that Congress condemned the Government of India Act of 1935, therefore initially there were problems. Congress hesitated to form any kind of government, but later on Congress agreed after negotiations with the British Empire and also negotiations with other parties. So, significance this for the first time election was there in the Indian subcontinent, proper election, and Congress actively participated in governance under British rule. This showed that Congress's electoral strength and public support was very much prevalent. So, for the first time, we got to understand that Congress actually had electoral strength and the public loved Congress. For detailed information, follow RIG History Extended.